Hey guys, what is up? How you guys doing today? Welcome to Philly Talk with MK. And tonight we got a really special show right now because it's the Eagles vs Chargers on Sunday, and we're here with my guy Jake from the Snake Talk podcast. So here he is. How you doing, my guy?
Doing good, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. Let's play your intro right now. All right, so Jake, how you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic, man. It's beautiful weather up out here in the Vegas Valley, and I'm absolutely excited for this next up and coming matchup, man. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I know the Eagles had a very convincing win, I had to say, but I'm still really nervous about the Chargers.
Apparently flowers seem to work against Detroit. Apparently, I wasn't sure what I was going to get with that, but it seemed to work.
I don't know how that came about, dude. I was on my phone and my buddy texted me. He was like, "Yo, did you see this about Nick Sirianni talking about flowers?" I'm like, "Wait, what? No, he didn't. He didn't talk about flowers." Well, he did. So let's just start off and say, what are you looking forward to about this Eagles and Chargers matchup?
So, obviously, speaking from the Chargers standpoint, we're on a 2-game losing streak, and this is the worst position and time, truthfully, to be in if you're the Chargers, because first of all, you're coming off of an embarrassing loss from the Baltimore Ravens, where you're only scoring 6 points against Lamar Jackson, and you go on a bye week. You have 2 weeks to prepare, and then all of a sudden, penalties after penalties against New England, which we unfortunately have still not cleaned out all the skeletons in the closet against New England, and so it's been a complete curse for us. So I really am expecting that this team gets themselves together, button themselves up, they need to be on the same page and on the right track. We can't afford to have any more ridiculous penalties, not to mention, guys that are going to go above and beyond themselves and then, leave the rest hanging. This team needs to get much better than this. And I think it's also, too, really sad and unfortunate that we were in the trade deadline and we didn't do a damn thing. Never made a move, never made anything to where, unfortunately, we know that the Chargers were eyeing the Eagles, Fletcher Cox, but, Howie Roseman was not going to end up making a deal to get rid of one of their star defensemen. And then, of course, Akeem Hicks and a bunch of others on the market. But with that being said, they know that this is the kryptonite of this defense. So they really have to strengthen themselves up come this week.
Yeah. Now, you brought up Fletcher Cox. The only reason we didn't trade him is because of his contract.
Yeah.
We reconstructed him in the beginning of the year. We feed up $11 million.
Yeah.
And let's say that wasn't reconstructed. The dead cap will be $21 million. Since we did reconstruct him, $37 million. Right. So that's the reason why we didn't trade him. And I actually wanted him traded to get value because this season he hasn't been doing anything. Right. And he's not exactly happy with Jonathan Gannon with him covering screens. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, should we trade him now and get value, or are we going to wait? Looks like we're going to wait.
Yeah, and that's kind of the, the unfortunate part with, obviously the biggest one is, of course, the COVID shutdowns. Anytime that they're trying to make their money's worth, to kind of recovering and at the very least get back what they can in value. I mean, Fletcher Cox is absolutely, a Pro Bowler. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's a guy that's got a lot of value on him, and wherever he's going to go, the price is going to speak for itself. And that's where I think, because Tom Telesco is a very smart general manager as well. And he knows how to, he knows how to throw out numbers. He also is the kind of guy that likes to kind of pick in a few different routes to where it's a little bit cheaper, it's cost effective, and at the same time, you're getting the utmost potential, the upside for some of these players. And so, but again, knowing that this has been the weakness of this Chargers defense, the run has just been absolutely horrendous. And I've just been like, this is a team that is trying to come off of 2 bad years of being 5-11 and 7-9 and trying to get themselves back into the playoffs, because this is the statement. They have to, because otherwise you're going to lose Keenan Allen out of that mess. And he even came out on the press conference after New England and said, we looked like absolute dog shit. He spoke it as it is. And I don't blame him. And the last thing I want to do is lose one of our star players where we could potentially have a Super Bowl roster ahead of us.
Yeah. What's up, Key? What's up, Coach Donte? How you guys doing tonight? Now, the thing with the Eagles, last game, we blitzed. I was surprised we blitzed that many times against Jared Goff. So, if we made Justin Herbert uncomfortable, we should, have some damage there, you think, with that? Or it's your offensive line really good?
Well, I'll tell you what, though, it may not be as easy as it sounds, because, ultimately that's the whole point of what, the Eagles are trying to do. They're trying to force up a lot of their defensive front to put a lot of pressure up on a guy like Justin Herbert, because first of all, he's a guy that can literally do everything. He can run, he can throw, he could definitely do what you ask him as a coach and even as a quarterback, that's probably going to be the one ultimate game plan, but it's not going to be as easy because of the fact Rashawn Slater is absolutely hitting himself out of the ballpark as a draft pick, providing a lot of amazing coverage for Justin Herbert to give him time in the pocket to throw and even give him some options, whether it's running the football or even it's just, giving it to Austin Eckler and company to whether it's run or screen plays. So there's that. There's Corey Linsley, the Pro Bowl center, and of course, Matt Filer. This is a real good, I would say, top 10, if not top 15 offensive line that has very much improved from what last year gave us. So it may not come as easy as it sounds, but it'd be a hell of a challenge for Philadelphia against that offensive line.
Yeah, and if only Jonathan Gannon wouldn't just have some real schemes. Last week was a wake-up call to me, because I was like, there's no way we're going to run the ball. There's no way we're going to stop the Lions, and they did. I was just shocked, and I think you're right about the Flowers.
Yeah, apparently people seem to have kryptonites against Flowers, apparently.
Yeah. So the biggest matchup I'm afraid of is our linebackers. We got rid of Eric Wilson today, and your tight end, because we cannot cover tight ends. So how well do you think your tight end's going to go against us?
Well, I mean, it really does depend on how Joe Lombardi really has this offense set up. As the offensive coordinator, they know that they ended up picking up a lot of big-time pieces. Jared Cook from the New Orleans Saints, he's been a guy that the reason they wanted to pick him up is, the fact that Hunter Henry just was injury-prone a lot, was a guy that really wasn't, the promising tight end we would have thought. So that's the reason that they ended up moving away from him to pick up Jared Cook, and the guy that is a red zone threat when you leave him open, in first and goal opportunities, that's a guy that's going to end up, putting a lot of damage against that Philadelphia defense. So, and you're right about the linebacking core, seeing exactly what Philadelphia's struggles are. Midfield has to be the biggest weakness for the Eagles, and where they are going to try all they can to eliminate those open holes that they may try to leave for Justin Herbert to throw. Because if you think about it, each and every one of these guys, you'll have Mike Williams running up on a deep route. You'll have Keenan Allen, who's probably one of the best route runners in the league, who can shred up the middle of the field and make it so uncomfortable for, and so just unreal for Philadelphia's defense, where they have no answer against that offense. So I really do think you're going to see a lot of probably both, if not 60-40 of it being Jared Cook and more of Keenan Allen in the middle of the field.
Yeah. And speaking of Keenan Allen, I mean, our cornerbacks, I think, are pretty good and underrated with Darius Slay and Steven Nelson. I mean, that matchup against Keenan Allen, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun with both of them. I mean, I really am a good fan of Darius Slay. I think he's a really good, talented corner, and obviously, I will say he was definitely damaged goods the second he was in Detroit. But the fact that he found himself in Philadelphia, really trying to rejuvenate his production, is really more than spoke for itself. But him and Steven Nelson, I mean, those are going to be two real good corners. But the question you got to ask is that going to be enough to contain most of what the Chargers offense is really bringing to the table? I mean, not only just Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Joshua Palmer, Jalen Guyton. There's so many different options, and that's the thought that I think Philadelphia is making, is how are they really going to be able to contain a lot of those offensive weapons that Justin Herbert can use at his own disposal? Mind you, I mean, you still have Austin Eckler. He's really lethal on the screens. Same with, if you have Justin Jackson and Larry Roundtree as well on the ground. That could be something that you'll see back and forth. They'll utilize that, whether it's on the run or even if it's on short passes, to kind of wear out this Philadelphia defense, to expose them. And then there goes the big play.
Yeah. I mean, we just got another corner yesterday, and Kerry Vincent Jr. I don't understand why. It was like right at the buzzer we got the shot. I'm like, why? Yeah. Howie Roseman, it just makes me like every time. But so how do you feel about our offense with Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders is out, but our offensive core, how do you feel about that?
Well, I think it is a tough loss, knowing that Miles Sanders, of course, is sidelined. So that means Boston Scott is going to end up seeing more and more of the field. But I can't really truly give up on this type of offense. I think the way that they have this set up, and first of all, this will be a hell of a matchup, of course, with former Chargers offensive coordinator Shane Steichen. I mean, he's the guy that he grew and developed Justin Herbert the way that he is. I mean, he made this offense last year 8th in the league. So I, for one, am a little bit nervous about that because of what he may have in the cards. But I'd say he's in real good company, knowing that you've got Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, and
Watkins.
And Watkins. So there's a ton of options that I'm sure that Shane Steichen's going to use to the best of his abilities and to his knowledge. And so, but I really am not giving up on this type of offense. I think you give Jalen Hurts all the tools, all of the weapons that he could possibly use, and see exactly where you go with this offense. I mean, we knew for a fact that like Philadelphia was kind of opening up, doors they probably shouldn't have. We saw that last year, and to where here we are at this point this year. But I think seeing it from Jalen Hurts' perspective, I wouldn't give up on the whole plan right now. I still think you develop him, you see what you can get with him, but it is an offense that can bite you when you give them those opportunities.
Yeah. I heard on Adam Schefter's podcast today that we might trade our 3 first-round picks for Russell Wilson. And I'm like, what? That's a little too much.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's really too much. Oh, God. Now that just means – but the question is, do you throw Jalen Hurts in that package?
You kind of have to, right? If you're going for Russell Wilson.
If you're trading one quarterback to another, yeah.
Yeah, unless they want Uncle Rico. I mean, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, but I feel like they might want more of that bargain, but it's like, yeah. But then that means – now you have Jalen Hurts in the same, position as he was with Carson Wentz, and now he's kind of seeing a little bit of what Carson Wentz was feeling upon that. I don't know. I just feel like that's a lot of pressure right there in the room.
Yeah. I mean, Jalen Hurts right now, the only thing that bugs me is his accuracy. I'm sure you've seen him like overthrown, underthrown, and all this stuff. I mean, the accuracy is going to help you guys on the defensive side a lot. And yes. I'm like, can this ever be fixed?
And I think about that too, because you have to wonder the offense going against this Chargers defense, because finally that Derwin James is finally playing a healthy season. I mean, the Chargers fans, we've been waiting for this for the last 2 seasons. The fact that he had, season-ending injuries, whether it was torn ACLs or whatever it may be, was a crushing blow because he is the vocalist in that defense, and he's a guy that is a leader. He's a guy that shapes up that entire backfield. But not only just that, but you have a fully healthy Chris Harris Jr. You also have Asante Samuel Jr., who I'm sure that, Eagles, you're used to, seeing his dad play, in Philadelphia after the glory days in New England. But, you get a little bit of a gist of that. And then not to mention Michael Davis as well. So this Chargers secondary is set to where it's really competitive. It's built for speed, and it's also willing to be competitive on every level. I just do have a problem when it comes to the run defense. That's the only thing. I feel like they've only worked one side of the football than they really have of the other. And that's where I think they really have to utilize that as much as possible. I would say push hard and contain the run, because knowing Jalen Hurts can run, Bart Scott can run, they could use any of those options. And nobody better who knows that system than Shane Steichen. So I'd like to see how that happens and how that could work out. But, like I said, it's giving me question marks. I just don't know how this game plan is really going to be set up against Philly's offense.
Yeah. So tell me, how's Asante Samuel Jr. doing? Because the Eagles were going to draft him, but they took Landon Dickerson.
Man, he's really been stepping up in his rookie season. I mean, he's exactly a guy you asked for, a young kid out of Florida State. And the funny thing of it is, close ties even with guys like Jalen Ramsey and Derwin James. And I think that was what was the biggest home run hit. The fact that you have a former Seminole who's been there, knows that type of defensive scheme, and he's familiarized with it, but at least creates it to where it's their own. So I think Asante Samuel Jr. has really been a big hit for the Chargers. I was very excited when the Chargers drafted him in the second round, and it's exactly what we needed. It was somebody that was going to fill in the shoes for Casey Hayward, unfortunately, who goes to the Las Vegas Raiders. And I told a lot of Charger fans, look, you can bash him with injuries and all of this, but it still doesn't deny the fact that he is a quality corner. He's a guy that can be shut down. He can get into your face, and he's willing to be competitive. So I really am loving what I'm seeing out of Asante Samuel Jr., and he's only going to get better week in, week out, and he's going to be exactly what the Chargers have been hoping and promising for. I mean, they're already hitting with Rashawn Slater. They're going to be hitting with Asante Samuel Jr., so now you're hoping that all these draft picks are going to be well picked. This was exactly what the Chargers were hoping for.
Yeah. Yo, what's up, Jinx? How you doing? Gio, another Eagles content creator. How's it going, man? Give me your thoughts about this game on Sunday. I would love to hear it. So, I want to go back to Shane Steichen real quick. I saw on Twitter that did he do like a lot of screen passes for the Chargers?
He was very mixed. So he had some screens, but he also did have some big plays. The problem with what happened last year throughout the whole thing, I was really encouraging the fact of give Shane Steichen the offense. Don't even touch the offense. Just worry about the defense, fix up the special teams, and Shane would just take care of the rest. Because he does mix in a little bit of some screen options, and and that's obviously utilizing all the running backs, because these are guys that are not just runners, but these are pass catching runners also. I think that when we see this trend in the NFL where you need more pass catching runners, that just gives you an extra wide receiver right there in the middle of just, as your tailback. So a guy that can be there when all options are covered, and he can just be there to give you at least 5-6 yards. And he does play mixtures of that, but he also plays mixtures of throwing the deep ball. We've seen that several times where he's done that with Jalen Guyton, with Mike Williams, even with Keenan Allen. And it's just the unfortunate part that because of the play calling from Anthony Lynn, that was what was pulling much of the strings back. That's why I was very upset, and I was pretty sad that Shane Steichen left, and I was happy for him to get at least another job. I still think he could try as a head coach in this league. But if you think about it, the Chargers were transitioning from one offensive coordinator who made the Chargers 8th best offense in the league to then transitioning to an offensive coordinator in Joe Lombardi that was kind of giving me concerns because New Orleans' offense was 21st ranked last year. And that's where I'm like, what type of offense am I going to get out of Joe Lombardi? Because if it's going to be nitpickings, then I don't want it. I would want somebody that's at least aggressive up on offense who doesn't need to be the guy that's going to hold your hand on so many different plays. I think that if you put Shane Steichen with Brandon Staley, I think they'd be both great minds. I think they both would be clicking on the same levels. And because they have a trustworthy franchise quarterback in Justin Herbert, and all you would want to do is unlock his full potential. And I think that that's exactly what Shane Steichen's been able to do and what he's been able to implement with now Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, but we've done so many screen passes throughout the years. Not throughout this season. And I'm like, okay, you're doing screen pass here, but we should run it. But it's like we're not running the ball. So I'm like, so he did run the ball for you guys, right? So he did.
Yeah.
Okay. So
the fact of the matter is because you're also coming with Anthony Lynn, who was a running backs coach. So of course he was going to end up, getting as many running backs as he possibly could. I mean, they were suffering with injuries with Austin Eckler, Justin Jackson. That's where they ended up going and getting Kalen Ballage, who I really thought would have been a specialist option. If you really think about it, because he came in a scenario where we didn't really have much of runners. And then he just out of nowhere just starts blowing us away with a bunch of these carries where he's carrying for like 6 to 7 yards a carry. And so, there were a lot of options, but at the same time, some of that was Anthony Lynn and half that was Shane Steichen. But of course, it always comes down to this is what is your head coach putting to the table because I'm sure Shane Steichen would love to run the football, would love to throw in a couple of trick plays and get the best out of the offense. But it can't help if you got a head coach that's playing conservative ball.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Sirianni's making the play calling, and it's just like ridiculous. Like, I've never seen the play calling this bad. I've been an Eagles fan for so long, with like Andy Reid, Chip Kelly. He did like the no huddle thing. I mean, that worked. Doug Peterson, we got a Super Bowl with him, but that was with Frank Wright. And then he took over the play calling, and it was like he didn't run the ball as much. We let him go. Now we have Nick Sirianni, who ran the ball 2 times against the Cowboys. And I'm like, how?
So, see, you notice the difference. That's where I'm like, and it's really interesting because of the fact of like, you look at Andy Reid and what he's been able to implement with Donovan McNabb and Brian Westbrook, LaShawn McCoy, Deuce Staley. I mean, he was utilizing everybody at his own disposal. But even the same, and I think when I look at it, I do feel like the Eagles did not exactly give Chip Kelly enough of the time. I think when I look at it, now that I look at Sirianni, I just feel like they didn't really have enough of the supportive pieces for Chip Kelly to work his success. And I feel like that's kind of something that maybe the Eagles slightly look back at and think maybe we would have done it this way had we had more supporters. But, and it's kind of unfortunate. But again, these are kind of, I'm sure that these are the things being a Philly fan that like you see it before your eyes and it's like, what just happened and why, you're kind of going through a road that probably should have never took that turn. But, again, it could be Howie Roseman. It could be Jeffrey Lurie, somebody in Philadelphia. I don't know who decided to make the turn, but it's one that this is just kind of the roller coaster they're going through.
Yeah. Like for us, the only way we can get better if Howie Roseman is gone. Like that's the only reason. Like
I agree.
There's this thing around the Eagles fan base that Howie Roseman is Nick Sirianni is a puppet to Howie Roseman. And I'm like, each game I see, not including the last game, it shows. Like he's not running the ball, he's not doing anything. And in this game, he just goes out, and Howie Roseman was there. So this is where my conspiracy theory comes in.
Mm-hmm.
If we lost to the Lions, I believe we would have fired Nick Sirianni right on the spot because Howie Roseman was there.
Yep.
So that's my conspiracy theory for that.
No, I totally agree. I think that would have been one that he would have been just canned. He would have literally been just shown the pink slip, and would have been out. And rightfully so. If you could not possibly, convert against a team like Detroit, which, by the way, I seriously thought Detroit was going to end up pulling up this upset because of the fact of they've had momentums at times, and I just don't know why they keep shooting themselves in the foot. Like they were able to get back into the game against Green Bay. They were able to, get into the game in the last couple of matchups that they've had, and then they just shoot themselves in the foot. So I'm like, I don't understand the problem. And now it just kind of it really just showed for itself the second the Eagles just blew them away. And I was like, okay, this is just fool's gold now at this point. And that's where I'm like, I've completely sold off on Detroit. I thought they were brewing up to get better and better and better, but it doesn't seem like that process for them was really working.
Yeah. I mean, they were close to the Ravens. They lost to a 66-yard field goal, and then they lost to the Vikings by a field goal. So they're able to compete. They are. And I'm like, how did the Eagles blow them out here? Because originally I had the Lions winning 27-24. And I'm like, what the hell happened? It's
right.
It makes zero sense at all.
Yeah, it seriously makes zero sense. I can't even process it up in my head at all. I'm just it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I was on a live stream with Troxel, Troxel Sports stream or whatever. Yeah. And he was like, Mitch, I have the Eagles winning 27-24. And I was like, you know what? I have it flipped because there's no way that the Eagles can turn this offense around like that, which they did for I don't know. Can they go back to that? That's my question.
Right. Yeah. I mean, who knows? I mean, I just seriously think that Detroit is really on, they're kind of on their ends right now with the fact that just, this ends up happening and, it's crazy. I'm not sure exactly how you deal with it, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah. I don't know either, but from Beantown Breakdown, Mitch, I can't root for your team, but that doesn't excuse Jake from getting this.
Oh my God, Bobby. Bobby, we are going to eventually clear out all the skeletons in our closet at some point, you bastard. We're going to... I was talking with him about this, but I'm telling you, it's every freaking year. This is post-Brady. This is the second year post-Brady, and the Chargers just cannot beat him. They can't. They can't seem to beat New England, and this is precisely the reason why when I was a kid, I've been a Charger fan since I was 7, and the time when they went on the 14-2 run, and where they were looking like that was a Super Bowl favorite. Like that was a Super Bowl favorite team. And then Tom Brady just beat us. That was the time that started. I was a Patriot hater because seriously.
I'll hockey fight you when I land in Vegas.
Oh my God. Yeah, he's actually looking to get it out here in March for that.
Oh, really?
That Bruins and Golden Knights game. So I can't wait for that.
Oh, that would be cool.
Hey, Bobby. You have to find out what day that lands on, because if it's closer to my birthday, I guess you might have to give me a ticket.
Dude, you should vlog that if you actually do go.
Oh, hell yeah. I do it all the time.
Oh, yeah? You vlog games?
Yeah, I vlog games. I usually, when we go into intermissions, I usually always pull it up on Instagram lives, and just kind of get my full thorough thoughts into what we learned in the first periods and, get a whole entire game wrap-ups and stuff. But I would love to at some point get a tablet that I'm able to get internet and Wi-Fi so that it's a little bigger, and then that way I can do my whole entire scoop.
Right. That sounds good. Now,
yeah,
let's talk about the Eagles tight ends with Goddard, Rodgers, and Stahl. How do you feel going up against Goddard?
You know, I really do like, Dallas Goddard.
This match second Jake.
Oh my God.
Oh, it's March 2nd? Oh, it's
Oh,
March 2nd.
March
It's
2nd.
a
Okay.
match, so I'm like, wait, huh?
So that's about 17 days away from my birthday then.
There
Yeah.
you go.
I'm on the 19th. So,
Oh,
um, yeah. So Dallas Goddard, I mean, I really did. It's so interesting about Philadelphia tight ends because this dates back from Brent Selleck's years, and they really do play a really good, valuable role. Like when it was him, and then all of a sudden they just started to switch up to where Zach Ertz was coming in, and then the same with Dallas Goddard. I think Dallas Goddard, regardless if Zach Ertz is there or not, he's going to be the guy that was going to be productive. I've seen so many spurts of Dallas Goddard really putting up good numbers, and
yeah.
and I really am. I think that's one player that I think the Chargers are definitely going to keep an eye on, especially when it comes to the linebacking core with Drew Tranquill and Kaiser White, because they got to play this. They got to play securing that midfield and making sure that no options are open for Jalen Hurts, and that's one of his options. It may not be completely his high end target, but it is one of his targets that can move that offense if you need to.
Yep.
Hell yes.
Yep. There you go.
Yes, sir.
So I just have to ask. We're going to talk about this later on, but since you're here, why not? Who's your favorite Chargers player of all time?
Oh man, my favorite Chargers player of all time. Honestly, I've loved watching LaDainian Tomlinson. I mean, the kid was so fast. He was very elusive, and he was a guy that was a competitor. And I watched that whole season when he scored for 31 touchdowns in a single season, and that nobody was going to end up breaking that streak ever again. You see how this league has ran now, that running backs, like it would be just knock on wood if they ever did. But I don't think we'll ever see a performance from a running back like that ever again. I mean, he was the definition of what a true running back looked like, breaking records like Gale Sayers, O.J. Simpson, Earl Campbell, and so many great names, that he was just unbelievable. And it really broke my heart the day that he left and went to the Jets. It really broke my heart because of the fact that I really hoped that he would have got a ring. I really hoped he would have gotten a Super Bowl championship, because that is a guy who has worked his tail off, guy that was an absolute, benefactor, and it's so funny. And I even look at the chats like, oh yeah, Sean Merriman. It's actually pretty funny, Gio, but I actually did meet Sean Merriman in person. Like the guy he's built like a brick shit house still, but nicest guy I've ever spoke to, dude. Like we talked about the UFC fight. Like it's crazy. So we talked about the UFC fight between Peter Yan and Aljamain Sterling, and about the disqualification, and he was cool about it. Like he gave his breakdown thought, and I really wish I had a business card to just bring him up onto the show, and because he's such a cool cat. But yeah, he was badass.
Yeah. So, question for both of you: if you were the coach, how would you attack each other's team? For me, run the ball.
For me, stop every option for Jalen Hurts, and that's either passing or running the football.
Oh, really, Gio? You talked to Sean Merriman too?
Oh, wow. That's awesome, dude. Yeah, he like I said, he still looks like he can play in this league. I'm telling you.
How old is he now?
God, he's got to be like in his late 30s, early 40s.
Wow.
I mean, he looks great. I mean,
yeah, he's one of my favorite Chargers. But my favorite Chargers player of all time, I just got to go with Phillip Rivers. I got to go with him.
Oh my God.
What?
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Phil was a competitor. Don't get me wrong. But imagine this. Like, I don't think Philadelphia Eagle fans have ever felt like what it does feel like to be a Charger fan. Because here's the thing. At least the Eagles knew what they were getting out of Donovan McNabb.
Mm-hmm.
For Phillip Rivers, like, he was very much the competitor, and we got real good years from him. But there were excruciating times where he just, like, he stressed me out. He stressed me out so bad because of the fact of just his decision making, where he was throwing the football at, and then at times where like nobody's providing protection for him, and he was just breaking down, and that's where I really started to see that. Like the year before he went to the Colts in 2019, oh my God, I wanted to gouge my freaking eyes out against Kansas City because he throws 6 picks in one game. And I was like, at first I was thinking, Tua, is that hip healthy? Because at this point, we need a new quarterback. Like it's outdated. We need a new quarterback. But it was been an absolute blessing getting Justin Herbert. And that's where I'm like, I knew for a fact, like, I still do like Phil. I do love the years that we had with him. But I mean, the fact that he plays on torn ACLs in an AFC championship game against New England, like, it's unheard of. It's unheard of for a lot of quarterbacks, and it made it close. I mean, that game was close, but that again, those are one of those reasons why it's like the Patriots, I just can't stand them because it just always are the party spoilers, like they're that guy that walks up into the party and he's loud, obnoxious, drunk, but yet, spoils up a lot of the parties. That's what
we beat them in the Super Bowl.
You guys got the job done. We still have yet to get our job done. That's where I'm like, man.
I mean, there was another Chargers player I loved, and that's Antonio Gates.
Antonio Gates was great. I mean, he was a guy that, like, the only person to utilize his basketball skills and use that on the football field. Like, the guy was awesome. I loved him.
Yeah. And Junior Seau, I forgot he played for the Chargers.
Oh yeah, the late great Junior Seau, man, such a sweetheart, man, and he was a guy that was just so authentic and real, and it was so sad when the day that happened. I was just like, wow, like it's a real thing, and people don't realize it, and that's But overall, I mean, I say this, and I still continue to say this, but Philadelphia is at least blessed to have a Super Bowl, because the Chargers have been around in this league since 1960, and we've only been to the AFC Championship game a couple times and have only won once. And we've only gotten into the Super Bowl once in 94 and never been since. And it's just been kind of, you have high hopes and then they become broken dreams, and that's honestly, and I'm sure for Philadelphia fans, that was the same way. I mean, you guys had great legends like Randall Cunningham. You had Deuce Staley, Brian Westbrook, Donovan McNabb, Terrell Owens at one point, and then even Jeremy Maclin and Deshaun Jackson, a lot of these guys, and you were trying to make it work. You were trying to make it work, and then finally it's like the planets aligned and you get a Super Bowl. And I still say it to this day that the Chargers are literally the Philadelphia Eagles of the AFC West. They are. Because the fact that the Broncos have won Super Bowls, the Raiders have won Super Bowls, and the Chiefs have won Super Bowls. And that's where I'm like, you look at us, and people that say that they're haters about certain teams, nobody hates them as bad as people hate the Chargers. Because the fact of they give their hopes up so high, and then they always disappoint. And that's where I'm like, it has been years. And then the fact that my only hope is that the Chargers win a Super Bowl before Justin Herbert's contract talk, because you're paying him for cheap right now. He's on rookie contract. And think about all the quarterbacks that have been on rookie contracts that have won a Super Bowl. I mean, Patrick Mahomes had done it. Joe Flacco has done it. There's been so many of them. And that's where I'm only hoping that the first one, and I told Charger fans, it doesn't matter if we're in Los Angeles or if we're in San Diego. People will still remember us as San Diego because that's how big our fan base was. But I'm here for the players. I'm here for the coaches and the staffs. I'm not here for the ownership, because everybody rips Dean Spanos a big one because of the fact of he's cheap. He's a cheap owner with a very smart and genius general manager in Tom Telesco that we should be winning Super Bowls. We should be in the category of being winners. So until that day happens, that's where I'm like, I have my fingers crossed. I mean, that's my bits and pieces living as a Charger fan.
Yeah. I mean, you took me down memory lane there.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, it's been a long time coming, dude. That's why I'm like, I'm hoping that till the day it does happen, like, because I've got middle fingers for literally everybody in the league, because they all looked upon us as jokes, and, we're laughing stocks in the league. And until it happens, like, we'll no longer be the losers. I mean, I'm sure that's the same that Eagles fans felt when the second they won the Super Bowl. Wasn't just getting the job done against New England, but it's now you're officially on the map. You've officially joined the club.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about Justin Herbert. Is he a top 5 quarterback, you think? Top 5, top 10?
Oh, I think he'll easily be a top 5 quarterback. No question. And he's a kid that coming out of college, I mean, I watched him in Oregon several times. I wasn't sure how big of the potential I was going to get with him. But until he came into this league, it answered everyone's questions. I mean, the spurts you got with him was senior year in the Rose Bowl against a tough Wisconsin team, which Wisconsin is filled with a lot of corn-fed players. These are guys that are big and strong. They don't mess around. They'll push you around any way they want to. And the fact that for his last year, the coach told him, here's the ball, go out and play. They let him play his game. And sure enough, he was running the football majority of the time, throwing a lot of really good, decent passes, and Oregon won the Rose Bowl. And it was all because Justin Herbert had to be the playmaker. He was the game changer. The Senior Bowl was the same way. He was a game changer up on that, and you saw what his arm strength was capable of. The question that every analyst had was, is he disciplined on the arm? And then the second he comes in his first official start against the Kansas City Chiefs in week 2, just stunned us. Like, he belongs in this league. He's a guy that's a complete game changer. He's still learning week in and week out, but you got to have the right supporters around him. And think about it. There are teams in this league that don't deserve those types of quarterbacks. I wouldn't want us to be that type of team, because honestly, we're in a new era with a brand new head coach, with new weapons, both offensively and defensively, and we're just trying to put the key pieces together to go and win a championship. And this is a kid that in this league, I think he'd outperform Patrick Mahomes. I think he would outperform Josh Allen and a lot of these top young quarterbacks. And I truly think he would be in that category in the next couple of years.
Wow. Hey, what's up to the Nest Out West, an Eagles content creator from California? What is up, my guy? How you doing? And guys, please subscribe to Jake Silva, the Snake Sports Talk. His links are in the description, along with everybody who's a part of Spotlight Sports Network. It's this way. So, give everyone a subscribe. They're all great people. They help me a lot, including this guy right here. He helped me a lot. So please give them a subscribe and tell them what your channel is about, man.
Well, I'll put my link in the chat as well to help everybody out. But so you guys love sports, and you guys love getting yourselves all of the best up in in sports, and even for the latest topics. But not to mention too, a lot of the best entertainments and best interviews in sports. The Snake Sports Talk Show is definitely the home for you, where we have all the best interviews from all of the best content creators, even athletes, coaches, and so many more. And we also get to break down, it's an unbiased and balanced channel to where every topic that hits us in sports, we want to know what our opinions are and how it outweighs us, to where we could be thinking not just one side, but could be thinking about what the other is. So coming to that unbiased balance, that's what the Snake Sports Talk Show is really, really all about. So, and covering all sports, baseball, NFL, MLB, and even the NBA, and even some bits of, UFC, depending on the popularities of the cards. We'll sprinkle in a little bit of that, but covering all 4 major sports with all the best entertainment, that's what the Snake Sports Talk Show is all about.
Yeah, you had me on there to talk about number 25 on the Sixers. That was a fun time.
Oh my gosh, yeah, talking about the whole Ben Simmons debacle. I mean, yeah, that was a lot of fun.
All right. Oh, so there's a link. Oh my god, I forgot everyone. Oh my god, there's so many.
Yeah, well, at least we got them all covered.
Yeah, I think we're there. But really quick, I said we'll talk about your favorite Chargers player of all time. Give me your favorite all-time Chargers lineup, like quarterback, wide receiver, running back, and then defense. Like, you don't have to do the offensive line, of course, like one of each spot.
Oh, yeah. No, that'll get too complex. I think, honestly, the best quarterback I have to go with is definitely Dan Fouts. I think Dan Fouts was a really, really good quarterback at the time when he had Don Coryell, the Air Coryell roster. I mean, there's nothing like it. I think running back, definitely LaDainian Tomlinson. I mean, hands down, there's no question. Tight end, I got to put Antonio Gates above Kellen Winslow Sr. because even though Kellen Winslow was such a great option at tight end, Antonio Gates was just as competitive. I think he was kind of that mirroring image of him, but I'd say it was just close between the two of them. Wide receivers.
Now you can have 2 tight ends. Remember, some offenses.
That's true.
Too. So
there you go. I mean, you got Antonio Gates and Kellen Winslow Sr. That's just about it.
There you go.
And then wide receivers, I loved watching. The greatest, of course, was Lance Allworth. I mean, there's no question about that. But you also did have Charlie Joyner in some spurts. But I think my other favorite wide receiver that I loved watching, honestly, was definitely Chris Chambers. I think he was really, really good. I mean, he was a guy that came out of Miami who was still very valuable, but the second he came to the Chargers, we got so much of his value. I mean, a guy that had great hands, really good route running skills. Keenan Allen for sure. I mean, the guy's got great route running skills. He's a guy that could literally bite you in every single scenario and situation. There's just such a handful. And I cannot forget the late Vincent Jackson, such a great guy. I just felt like that so many of his injuries, though, was what really kind of put him on the sideline. And it's unfortunate because the second he went and took his money to Tampa Bay, he was not going to be the same player. That's the unfortunate part. And I was really hoping that the Chargers would have at the very least negotiated with him on a deal, but you kind of saw a lot of that just deteriorate the second he was with Tampa Bay. But there's such a handful and such a list of really good wide receivers. I loved watching a lot of those guys.
Mm-hmm. For the defense as well, like you can pick 2 defensive linemen.
Well, defensive lineman, definitely Jamal Williams. That guy was such a strong, up front nose tackle, and he was a guy that was busting through offensive lines like it was nothing. And I do think there was also, I want to say, it's kind of tied because there was Igor Olshansky, who I thought was a really, really good option at the D line. But I think that might be my 2 right there. Jamal Williams and Igor Olshansky for sure. And edges, it's definitely got to be Sean Merriman right up on the edge. And I think, and definitely Joey Bosa. I mean, those are 2 really good edge rushers right there that really got it done. Linebackers, Junior Seau, no question about it. And I think the other one that I thought was very underrated was Sean Phillips.
I was going to say Phillips, yeah.
Yeah, Sean Phillips was a really, really good one. If I had to look at a backfield, Derwin James for sure, Rodney Harrison, Quentin Jammer. Quentin Jammer was probably one of the best corners that we've even had.
Yeah.
And I think personally, Casey Hayward.
Okay.
I think those were definitely the guys up in the backfield that were really, really good. Honorable mentions. I mean, you had a lot of them. Antoine Kaysen, or actually scratch that. I cannot believe I forget this guy. How rude of me. Antonio Cromartie.
Okay. Yeah.
Antonio Cromartie was definitely the shit. He was a guy that was literally wide receiver playing secondary.
Yeah. I remember playing Madden, and every time I would do like a fantasy draft, I had to get Quinn Jammer because he was like a glitch in the game.
Yeah.
He would get like 3 interceptions a game at one point. I'm like, I have to get this guy.
That's how good. That is just how good of a corner he really was.
All right. Look, you got to head out in a couple minutes, right? You got to head out?
Yeah, I'm going to head out here. Yeah, in just in 1 minute. Are we doing score predictions?
Yeah, let's do score predictions real quick. You go first.
All right. So because of how important that both these that this matchup itself is for both teams, the Eagles right now want to be on a streak. The Chargers are trying to clean up the mess that they've had since going on the bye. I think this is going to be a fun one. And Shane Steichen reuniting with his old team. It'll be interesting to see how this offense really does work for Philadelphia against the Charger defense. But the run defense is going to be very, very crucial. They need to fix that up, and they need to be solid. If I had to think of a final score, I think this could be a potential shootout, but there are going to be some limitations. I'm going to go with this 33-27. Chargers win against Philadelphia.
I was going to go with 30-28. I was going to go for like a closer, and the Eagles, of course, because it's going to be a high-scoring game. I really feel like it's going to be a high-scoring game, and if only the Eagles had the same game plans last week, if we go back to old ways, there's no way we're winning. So that's the only way I can see us winning if we have the same playbook or game plan. That's the only reason.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you for coming on. I mean, I've been bugging you all week with this thing.
I know. I've had somebody else literally hit me up for Chargers Eagles content too, dude.
Oh yeah?
I just had somebody message me about it not too long ago, but yeah, I know. We've been waiting for this moment, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, anyone from Spotlight or not?
Not quite. I know Key wanted to end up doing it, but I know I've already done. I tried to do one with Darian. You know, we did do one last year twice.
Yeah. You actually said it twice. Yeah.
Yep. So, there's plenty of opportunities, man. So I'm waiting for it.
Yeah, man, it's about that grind. So thank you for coming on. It was really fun talking sports with you. And hopefully I'll see you on Sunday for the pick'em.
Absolutely, man. I'll definitely be seeing you guys up on Sunday morning.
All right. So,
all right, take care.
Yep. I'll catch you later, man.
Catch you later. Good luck.
Thanks, man. Guys, just please go subscribe to this guy. Please go subscribe to Jake Silva. Please do. That's his link, and it's also the links in the description. A very smart guy, a very intelligent guy when it comes to football, as you guys can tell. Please welcome him. He does content all the time. One of the best guys in the game, in my opinion. So please subscribe to him. And as well, and remember to go subscribe to the Spotlight Sports Network. Also, they have me a part of their team. It's great. Their links are in the description below. So, yeah, go subscribe to the Spotlight Sports Network. All right? All right, guys, and catch you all. Wait, hold on. Gotta end it the right way. We gotta end it the right way. Catch you all.